That's awesome. They got a bell or something.
Much more stuff. Hey, tell you, great job. He's a special one. Good. That's fantastic.
And then if he's not confirmed, he's got probably about 2 full days of school.
Order for the April 11th school board meeting. Please join me in Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Donna is going to be absent. Alicia, will you please take roll calls?
Jamie? Clark?
Here.
John?
Here.
Jason?
Here.
Myself here, and Donna is absent.
Thank you very much. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So move.
Motion by Clark, second by John. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Announcements. The next school board meeting will be on Monday, May 9th, 2022 at 6 p.m. at the high school community room. Acknowledgments.
Yeah, I would like to take just a couple of seconds here to acknowledge our Knowledge Bowl team. They ended up finishing 7th in the state tournament this past week, so congratulations to them. And then also would like to acknowledge Kimberly Ruiz. She advanced to the state speech meet, and our speech team ended up having 8 speakers go to the section finals, which is a school record, so congratulations to that whole group. And then I would also like to just send out our sympathies. Gary Munson, who was a longtime teacher here at Glencoe-Silver Lake and Glencoe Schools, social studies teacher and driver's education, passed away recently, and we'd like to send our thoughts and prayers to that family of there. So, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sandu. Any other acknowledgements? Hearing none, any public input related to the agenda? Public input relating to the agenda? Third time public input relating to the agenda. Hearing none. Reports, presentations, art and music curriculum. Ms. Freitag.
In front of you, you have the list of the different curriculum that were put for you, and it's an Excel spreadsheet. I apologize for the font size. It's not the easiest to see. So if the one side says K6 art on the top left-hand side, and it says exactly what the teachers have requested for that, and then if you look over to the right, you will see the total amount when they bold it. So for K6 art, she is requesting a couple of books that go along with her curriculum, and then the plate and glaze that she's been requesting every other year for the students to produce their art. And then something that you'll see on all of the separate breakdowns is a supplement to their regular budget that they have yearly. And so for Andrea, for K6, we're asking for $1,000 times 7 years for the cycle of the curriculum. So her total, you can see is $11,133. Then if you go down to K2 music, she is also asking for a couple of different things specific to her curriculum. And then she's asking for $100 for that supplemental curriculum resources over the next 7 years. So her total is $3,262. And then 3-6 music, she's asking for material replacement, things that just need to be updated every so often. And then also the supplemental $100 times 7 years. And her total is $1,483. And then 5-6 choir. This is something that Mrs. Knott has done at Lakeside. So she does it 2 mornings a week for our 5th and 6th graders. And this would be $2,100 because she's asking for $300 over the next 7 years for that. And then our 5-6 band, she's also asking for that supplemental. That's the $300 times 7 years. As well as some things that will come into her classroom to support. She's also looking at replacing a couple of the instruments in doing something over the next several years. So those prices are to be determined. And you can see where her total at this time is $3,359. So the total for the K6 art and music is $21,338. And then on the right-hand side, you can see that they're looking at doing some professional development time over the summer, 4 days. So, and they're also looking at having someone from the Purpose Center of Arts, which is based out of the cities. They come in and then they help them review their curriculum, look at different strategies that they can put in place, and that is free of charge. They come in and support our teachers. So that would actually come out of our professional development fund. So we can flip over and then see the 7 through 12 curriculum. Band and music are very similar. They're asking for the supplemental monies again for the next 7 years to support their music. Both of them requested, we just want to be able to buy new music. And then the art, she had some cool things that I had never even heard of. The Shimpo clay pug mill. Michelle and I got to figure out what that was. And then the clay extruder, oops, it's supposed to say kiln shelf, not kiln. Still life lighting and printer ink cartridges, which are about $400. We just got the cost for that this afternoon. Clay bats, clay pack glaze, and then again the $1,500 budget supplement over the next 7 years. And then Allie is asking for 1 day of professional development over the summer, and Pete and Jeff are okay with PD. So you can see that the total for the 712 down in the bottom left-hand side, add roughly another $400 though. So it'll be $36,850. Do you have any questions about the curriculum requests?
You also included this year, I think it's already done with that.
Satisfied with what they have for 712 with math.
Question for Michelle. The dollar amounts for each of these areas that are tied to support supplies, is that locked in as far as if we do any adjustments to the budget and we look at supplies at times? Is this locked in for these individuals because this is under the category or the thought process of curriculum versus actually supplies?
Great question. I've talked to Joy and the administrative team. The one thing with this curriculum, with art and music curriculum, and we've found this in the past as well, is what I call this is it's got a tail. You know, when you buy your math, your social studies, reading curriculum, you're spending that $250,000, boom, it's done, and you move on, you know, plus there's a few supplemental things. This one, it carries on over 7 years. There's no guarantee that those budgets are going to be there. You know, if we're looking a couple of years from now, you know, no new funding, looking at budget reductions, you know, usually the first place we start is classroom supply budgets, curriculum type purchases to maintain staff as long as we can. So, you know, you can try to reserve this and say, no, 7 years we cannot cut music, we cannot cut art, but it might mean costing you a teacher or half a teacher or whatever that case may be. So I say there is no guarantee, but if you say, okay, we'll cut a teacher, make sure math and or art and music have their supply budget, then that would be a decision we'd have to make.
And so that's been communicated to Joy. Has that also then been transferred to the staff and being aware of that conversation?
Yes. You know, I think we'll be fine for, you know, 2 years, and we'll get them that extra. And, you know, if next year they come and say, oh, we found a couple more extra pieces of music, can we buy it this year? We'd have some of that flexibility. But after kind of that 2 years, you know, we don't know what could happen.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Joy? Sure. Thank you.
If there's no, other big objections to this, I'll work with Joy and we'll, I think, continue moving forward on some of this, especially, a couple of the books and the equipment that we know might be a supply chain issue. We'll want to get those ordered as soon as we can, especially so they have some of that stuff for the summer to help with their professional development days, so. If you have something, just give me a call or send me an email. Or call Joy.
All right, Michelle, you have the microphone in your hands.
I do. So just a couple of things quick from me. Last month you had approved the food service contract with Chartwells. That has all been submitted to the Department of Education and has all been returned approved. So that's kind of done and put in the folder, and we're moving on from that. Along that same lines, I wanted to mention we've gotten word already that starting next year, the federal government is not going to fund lunch and breakfast programs anymore. It's been free the last 2 years. That federal funding has gone away. So at this point, we'll start working on what the prices look that we would be starting to charge families. Now the caveat to that is, what is Minnesota going to do about it? There are a few states that have already said the state is going to pick up the cost of what those lunches and breakfast, would be. So they're going to fund those programs. We have no idea at this point what Minnesota will decide to do through the legislative session. In reviewing the preliminary House and Senate budget proposals, I don't even see anything in there talking about how they're going to fund lunch or if they're going to do anything at all. We'll bring it to you in June, but at this point I would recommend that we continue with our free breakfast program like we've done for the past 15 years since I've been there. Our fund balance, I think, is still going to end healthy this year because of the increased reimbursements rate that we've gotten this year. So that will be my recommendation on that point. We'll have to see what the lunch prices, we have to calculate out what that is. We have to wait for more guidance from MDE on that. So just so you're aware of that that's going to be coming up. We want families aware of that, to be able to start planning for that. It's been a great benefit for families. I've talked to some of you. It's a big savings coming out of the pocketbook. So families will have to start, we want them aware that it might have to start coming out of their budget. But we'll have the free and reduced lunch application available, again as well. So a little changes with that. And then just a quick update, a little more on the legislative session, reviewing the House and Senate. Believe it or not, there's a lot of political things going on right now at our Capitol. I listened to our lobbyists speak last Friday, and there's a couple of different thought processes going on. Because of the redistricting that took place across the state, there's a number of retirements that are going to happen, both between the House and the Senate. There's like 16 in one and 15 in the other. People are shuffling around. There's even one person from the Senate that's actually going to go on the ballot for the House, which rarely never happens. So that's kind of an oddity. The only thing at this point that the House and the Senate and the governor have agreed on is that they know they have to fund the unemployment fund. They have to get that back. So that's the only thing that they've agreed on. So it's become so political because of all the retirements, because of the changes in the redistricting. Part of them feel like we just kind of want to wait and see what happens with the election and then decide how we're going to spend the money. So they don't want to commit to it now. The Republicans are hoping they would get a Republican governor in, maybe take control of the House because of the redistricting, and then they would work on their budget next year. They want to look at more tax cuts for the people and then offset the spending with what they've made the tax cuts. On the other side, they know it would be real hard for them to go back to their home districts and say, yeah, we didn't do anything with that surplus this year. So it's turning into real political. It's getting a little harder to be optimistic that we're going to see any additional funding because of the politics that's going on. So Chris and I talked a little bit, and we really feel right now we've got to work on a revenue budget based on current law. It's going to be really hard to put in, we can play the what if scenarios, what if we get more, and what those numbers look like. But for right now, I'm gonna go back to basing it on current law, which there is an increase in the formula allowance. Now, keep in mind, the legislators do not have to pass a budget bill this year. This is not a budget year. This is the second year of the biennium, so they don't have to do anything. They can walk away from the Capitol and not do anything regarding a budget bill. So time will tell. Got about a month left with the session down there, so we'll kind of wait and see what happens. Reading through the House supplemental budget bill today, one thing I did notice that they have in their bill that I find a little troubling for us is they want to eliminate the Pathway 2 scholarship program, which affects school readiness. That would be a big hit for us. We get $37,500 in that program every year to our school readiness program. And what that does is offsets some of our fees that those students have to be. It's been a scholarship program intended to get kids there that normally maybe couldn't afford to come there. Then they want to take that money that they will save on that Pathways program and allocate it towards the voluntary pre-K program that's an all-day program. We apply for that program every year. Alicia Bestie applies for that. We never get it because we're not poverty poor enough. It's going to a lot of metro districts that are more poverty poor. So I'm a little concerned that that is part of their budget that they want to take that away. So that would be a hit to us. I'm hoping that doesn't follow through. So Senate's budget bill is 4 short little paragraphs. There's not a lot there, which kind of tells you they're not looking to do a whole lot. So anyway, just kind of be aware of that as you're listening to the legislators and what's going on with that. So that's what I have. We'll continue to work on the budget. We should have more information on where our budget's looking by May, and I'll be scheduling a finance committee to review some of that as we go forward. Any questions?
Thank you, Michelle. Principal Butler?
Thank you, and good evening. Joy and I will each highlight sections of this report. I'll go down near the bottom. Our spring benchmark window opens a week from tomorrow, and we're all prepared for that to get started after Easter. We've got something in there about our summer programs, lost instructional time. Michelle has been guiding us through this. You can see some of the dates, some of the different programs. Piece of new learning that we've taken on is that Camp Kindergarten, we'll have to find a different funding source for that. Michelle and I will need to talk about that because lost instructional time is not available for kids who are not yet in kindergarten. So we'll have more information on that. And then in addition to those lost instructional time programs, we'll have extended school year. More on that in a month or two. Go to the back. Still nothing from title. We're working on special education transition between all the programs and the buildings. Let's go down to the bottom. You can look at kindergarten numbers there for 22-23. So we've got 81 registered with 5 solid verbals. And you can see what has been reported in the past, the last 2 years. So, are we looking at a class of between 90 and 100? We shall see. Thank you again to Tricia for getting those numbers for me last month. We're working on student placement, gathering parent input so we can make quality placements for kids. You can see chess club. I'm really grateful that field trips are back. Grade levels planning those. Kids excited about those. Parent chaperones, parent volunteers. And then finally, just some acknowledgments. Really grateful when you look at ASOP at night and early in the morning, when we have teachers and paraprofessionals in our buildings. Terry Sjogren is leading our chess club. And Tricia, thank you for working behind the scenes on our emergency maps. That's much appreciated. Any questions for me before I pass this on to Joy? Or Michelle? Looks like Michelle's.
I should have mentioned, but when Bill mentioned the summer programs, we just met, Tricia and I and Tony, we will be offering a summer food program. So just make note of that, and it will be those dates, June 20th to the end of July, that 7/28. It is not a bag lunch. You have to come in the building and eat, and it will be offered both at Glencoe And at Silver Lake to start with, if we don't have the numbers again at Silver Lake, because all the summer programs are here, then we'll look at some changes. But we certainly want to start with offering that summer, it'll be breakfast and lunch, but you have to eat it on the site. So that is in the works. We'll continue that planning and Tony will work on the menus. But that will be available for any child in the district.
I'm going to start with professional learning communities. We have been part of this EIR grant through Southwest West Central this year. And a couple weeks ago, we got to participate in a walkthrough with the two ladies that come from the Southwest West Central, as well as somebody who comes from the actual EIR company. And it was just very affirming and powerful to have them in the building and at Lakeside, and to have somebody else have eyes on what's happening in our classrooms. We went through about 30 classrooms in each of the grades 3, 4, 5, and 6. Took notes on everything and then tabulated everything and then made some observations based on what we had seen. So many wonderful things are happening in the room, and it was really powerful to hear an outsider's perspective of what they're seeing with responsive classroom, PBIS, with using our academic vocabulary that we've been doing, all of the things that Bill and I have put in place at the K-6 level and 7-12 is also doing. But again, having people from the outside coming in and then showing those things to you, because you question, is everybody doing it as well as we should be doing it? And it was very powerful to hear. We continue with that training with Ryan Whalen and Carrie Glazier, attending more and more training throughout the year, and then intense training over the summer as well. I'll go down to we actually have the DARE graduation that happened at Lakeside today, which is why I have my DARE t-shirt on. Very cool to have Officer Geiken come in. Pat Geiken has done DARE with our 3rd and 5th graders over the past several weeks and months. And today was a celebration for all of our 5th grade students, and just to see the celebration between, again, the community and our students was very cool. And thank you so much for coming. She got to hear what the lunchroom sounds like with all kinds of 5th graders in there, which is fun. We are heavy into MCA testing right now. We started last week and we continue this week, and thank you to the IT department for all of the support, but knock on wood, I shouldn't maybe say this out loud, we have not had many challenges, and the students have been doing a wonderful job, so, as well as the teachers. And we are excited about the opportunity for summer school coming up, and we have also been doing the Panthers After School Club at Lakeside, which has been both for academic enrichment as well as for enrichment that includes arts and crafts, that includes Spanish, basic Spanish. It's been a powerful tool for us to use since the beginning of the school year with some of those ESSER funds. So, any questions for me?
Thank you, Joy. And hearing none, Mr. Fawcett emailed his report late on the day, so we'll move on to superintendent's report.
Thank you, and good evening, everybody. I'll start off with a quick COVID update. I'm pleased to report that over the last 4 weeks, we've had 1 confirmed case at GSL. We will continue to update our dashboard weekly. That is on the website for anyone that needs to take a look at that. SiteLogic has been in our facilities and have been doing their facility analysis, and that will continue to be happening. This Thursday, we will be having our community schools career job fair. Right now, we have over 40 vendors coming for that day, and I think it's going to be a good day for us to try this career job fair for the first time, and we'll see how it goes. It goes from 11:30 to 1 o'clock, and it'll be in the purple gym, and it will be kind of over the power hour for our 9th through 12th grade kids. So looking forward to that, and then we're going to bring them in here for community schools lunch and update them a little bit on what's going on, and looking forward to potentially having some more members of our community schools group and see where we can go to build on that. So we've actually had a few places that have just heard about it, whether it's through a connection that has come in or through the grapevine, but we've got just some people coming from the cities and a carpenters organization that's coming out that is recruiting kids to come to their school. The job people that are up in Monticello that have that central job person or people, they're going to be there. A lot of local, of course, and so not only is the hope to see if there's some employment opportunities for some of our students, but also just to explore all the different careers that are out there. So excited about Thursday afternoon here. The other thing that's coming up very short is going to be working with the McLeod County Towards Zero Death, and we're going to be having a mock crash on April 21st. That's going to be taking place in our parking lot. That will be for grades 10 through 12. And then prom is right around the corner with April 23rd. And then finally, we've been also continuing to take registrations with our early childhood. And right now, our registration numbers are very similar to where they have been in years past. So those are still rolling in, and we'll kind of finalize that schedule based on those registration numbers as they get a little bit closer to next month.
Thank you, Superintendent Sanju. Any questions? Hearing none, any committee reports?
The insurance committee met last week, Thursday, I believe, Wednesday. And the representatives, and I gotta make sure I get this right here, from Gallagher, came out and just spoke to the group, kind of explaining what the process is going to be. We're going from Blue Cross Blue Shield to Medicare. And kind of the explanation how each piece of the puzzle was going to be formulated and how it transposes from one to the other. I don't think, from what I gathered, it wasn't going to be a huge process. It's going to be pretty seamless otherwise, from what I got. But it was just a pretty good, it was really good informational meeting where people could ask questions and figure it out. And hopefully we can get Mr. Sanju's after work now, maybe with a different program.
I hope so too.
So.
For community ed, we had the Panther Adventure Club, the enrollments at around 50 to 65 attending for the morning and afternoon care, which is a slight increase. Most summer trips have been planned. We're looking into a couple more. Matt is also applying for a $5,000 grant opportunity for some new equipment for the Panther Adventure Club, or PAC. Let's see, youth recreation, most summer camps have been added, waiting on a couple of instructors. Most of the summer fees we're able to keep at about the same rate. Aquatics, we've got private lessons that are continuing to be offered all year long, and registrations continue to keep coming in. We do have enough lifeguards so far to offer lap swim every day. They are also planning some summer dates and WSI courses. That's going to be yet to be determined as far as the dates for that. And he is also applying for a $10,000 grant for scholarships and equipment. That's been in the area of aquatics. And adult enrichment, recreation, and trips. They continue to monitor the COVID situation with regard to some of the trips that they have planned that are looking for some final payments and stuff that they're monitoring that via COVID. That's all it. Thank you.
Any other committee reports? Hearing none, we'll move on to approve the consent agenda. Conclusion number 1, with removal, according to the consent agenda, with removal of Grace Lee Bartley from the resignation list. That is not a resignation anymore. So do I have a motion to approve? A motion by Alicia, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by John to approve with the removal of Grace Lee Bartley as the only change to the consent agenda. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. No old business at this time. We'll move on to new business. Item A, request approval for 2024 trip abroad. Enclosure number 2, Spanish teachers Ashley Brown and Sunday Kirkley request approval for a 12-day trip to Costa Rica, Panama City, and Cartagena, Colombia in June of 2024. Students will be in grades 10 and 12 in 23 and 24 school year would be eligible and would have the option of earning half credit elective for this experience. Superintendent Sanjay recommends approval of this trip. Ms. Brown and Ms. Kirkley will be at the board meeting to make their requests and answer any questions. So,
Ms. Brown is here.
Ms. Brown is here.
All right, well, you can already explain kind of the general logistics of it. We are looking at, as a Spanish department, doing a trip in June of 2024. Most students would be in the 10th through 12th grade in that year. So currently in grades 8 through 10 in this school year, kind of looking at doing 2 years out so that they have a little bit longer to get their payments, and they could have lower monthly payments. We would have some time to do fundraising and different things to help lower the cost for them. The total would be around $4,500. So that's especially why, with it being a higher cost, we definitely want to be able to do some different fundraising things. So definitely getting it out right away. A little bit over 2 years out, so we can start looking at doing some of those things to lower the cost.
So this is, once again, one of the EF tours that we've worked with in the past. It's out of school, so yeah, very similar to some of the trips that they are going to be currently going on that we've approved. This summer, I think there's a couple of them that we've approved a few years ago, so it sounds like a good time.
Yep. Anybody have any questions? Thanks for coming, Ms. Brown. If not, I'll ask for a motion.
So,
Motion by Clark, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Alicia. To approve trip to Costa Rica, Panama, and Colombia on a 12-day trip abroad in June of 2024. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Item B, close-up request 22 for 22-23. Action item. Close-up coordinator Paul Lemke asked for approval of the 22-23 close-up trip to Washington, D.C. The trip dates will be March 12th through the 17th of 2023. The participants in the program will cover all costs through the private funds and fundraisers or donations. Superintendent Sanjay recommends approval of the trip. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by, was it John? Motion by John. Do I have a second?
Okay.
Second by Jamie. To approve close-up trip to Washington, D.C. during the 22-23 school year. The dates for the trip will be March 12th through the 17th, 2023. Questions or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item C, ECFE School Readiness Interim Subcoordinator Contract. Action item. Superintendent Sanjay recommends approval for a 2-week ECFE School Readiness Interim Subcoordinator Contract from Michelle Marty. This contract will be in effect from April 25th, 2022 through May 9th, 2022. This position will provide coverage in the absence of ECFE Director who is an FMLA. Michelle Marty is currently the ECFE School Readiness Secretary and will continue to do those duties. This contract will be for 30 hours per week at $30 per hour for a total of $1,980. Any administrative duties during this time frame will be handled by Superintendent Sanjay or Community Ed Director, Mr. Monchak. Do I have a motion? I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Second by Clark. To approve the 2-week ECFE School Readiness Interim Subcoordinator Contract with Michelle Marty for April 25th, 22 through May 9th, 22. So we're going to sign it. It's kind of an extension of what we've been doing.
Correct, and just, if I could, acknowledge the work that Michelle has done. She's really helped out, stepped up. We've had lots of meetings, we've had lots of conversations. The registrations continue to move in, to come in with our early childhood and all the programs. The staff down there is working on, the potential changes, communicating with families, doing all that kind of stuff, and things are going well within the process. One thing that I've learned is, as much as we love our early childhood, we could use a couple more rooms, which is a good thing.
Okay, if there are no questions, I have a motion by Jason, second by Clark. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item D, second reading of policies, action item. The following policies received their first reading at the March 14th board meeting. It is the recommendation of Policy Committee Directors Lemke and Lockhart and the Superintendent of Schools to adopt these policies. Do I have a motion? Motion by Alicia, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by John. To adopt policies listed above, all in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item E, resolution to accept donations. Do I have a motion? Motion by Alicia, second by Clark. Looks like we got some equipment from Silver Lake Lions, so thank you very much to them.
You can let Joy talk about the Gaga pit.
Thank you.
If you don't know what a Gaga pit is, we'll let Joy talk about that.
Okay.
The two benches are gonna go in front of school where the new cement is, and some people say they go back by the playground, but this has been on Joy's wish list.
This has been on my wish list since I played several years ago. It's so much fun. It's a big pit, similar, so imagine if you had all of the tables like in a big circle, and then it's got walls on the sides, and then the kids just hit balls back and forth with their hands, their fists. It's just another activity. At Lakeside, we don't have a lot of space for different activities and stuff, but this will fit in perfect. And it's very age appropriate for them, so it's gonna be a lot of fun.
This is something they'll use at recess then, or?
They'll use it at recess, and they'll be able to use it throughout the day.
Gym time maybe?
Yep.
Okay.
Mhm.
Or the summer.
The summer
It's
as
all
well.
the summer. If you Google it, you'll see what a Gaga pit is.
And again, once we get it, you can come up to Lakeside, and we will happily show you how to play.
Right.
Yeah.
Will that be left out in the winter, or will it be picked up and stored?
Well, that is a conversation that I'm still in with Brady, because he and I have different ideas of what that could be. But the one that we did purchase, I believe, is one that can be moved if we want it to be moved. Mhm.
Okay. The motion by Alicia, second by Clark. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Both same sign. No miscellaneous at this time. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved. Second.
John, second by Clark. To adjourn at 6:39 p.m. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye.